We'll have a conversation about police and what the police are doing in the country. How do we approach the police? How are police working with us in the community? And how can we as a community work with the police better and to understand one another better? We have two police officers in the studio, so we are well protected as we speak this morning. One of them is a police spokesman, Bruno Shioso, and we also have Superintendent of Police, Zipporah Ndiritu. Good morning, Bruno and Zipporah.
Good morning.
Good morning, Eric. Good morning, Ndu. Thanks for having us.
Karibuni sana. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. This is, we call that the hot seat, but now because you're police officers, we are calling this the very hot seat. Okay?
True.
The very, very, very hot seat for the specific reason that we'd like you to, explain a number of things to us. People, when you talk about police officers on this show, there are many things that they ask. Kindly ask your next guest, police spokesperson Bruno, to tell Kenyans how he plans to handle bribe taking by police officers, fear by citizens to report GBVs, extortion of refugee-seeking persons, all those things. We'll have this conversation as we go on, right? So you can relax on that. But let's begin with the day's proverb. City.
Yes. It is better to walk than to curse the road.
It is better to walk than to curse the road.
Yes.
And this is a proverb from?
Côte d'Ivoire.
Okay. It's an Ivorian proverb. Zipporah, when you hear this, it's better to curse than to walk the road.
Bro, the walk is
Better
what
to
you
walk
do.
than to curse.
Yeah, the curse
Okay.
is what you shouldn't do.
Okay.
Yes, you start with the curse.
When you hear that proverb, what do you understand?
When I hear this proverb, good morning, I've just taken it back home to police service. Yes, if you really want a sausage, this is now my proverb, to answer your proverb, then why would you want to hate the pigs? If you hate the pigs, why do you love sausages? Yeah, so why do you want police to protect you and you really don't like them? You went to work this morning, you're here. Why is your house safe? Why have children gone back to school safe? Yes, there is a big brother. You don't have to hate him. He's just doing beat and patrol to make sure that there is free flow of traffic.
It is service.
It is service. So this is the road. But you'd better walk with us.
Instead of cursing you left, right,
we've
and
come
center.
back to walk together with you.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's get into this program called Polycare.
Polycare.
Polycare by the police service. Tell us about it. What is it about?
Polycare is a strategy that the police service have designed to make the road better, so that, and to reduce the curses on the road, going back to city. And we want this strategy to address sexual and gender-based violence through the establishment of a one-stop center, just like Huduma centers that we have in the country. Because apparently the current mechanism, the legal frameworks that we have are not so very user-friendly. They are there, they still complete it, but they are complex. There are legal issues along the way. Is the issue of the evidence, the witness, collection, preservation, presentation of evidence. There is the admissibility of that evidence in court. And there are so many actors along the way who are disintegrated. So Polycare comes and says, if the journey is too long, then why don't we make it easier by bringing all the service providers under one roof? And then we offer priceless dignity to these persons who have sexually been abused.
It sounds brilliant. Just paint the picture currently before Polycare.
Yes.
How has it been?
Before Polycare, let's assume that a person has been sexually abused. Today, it's not about women. It's not about girls. In the past, it's been about women and girls. But today, we have the boy child also being sexually abused. So that person who becomes sexually abused becomes a scene of crime. Because crime scene is where evidence is found. And apparently, if like you had burglary or breaking of these office breaking and theft takes place here, you can be able to replace all these things. You just need to call the supplier, maybe the insurance, and they are brought back. Or you can start again. But when you're sexually abused, it is you, it is your body, and what you go through mentally, very traumatizing. Physically, very, it wears you down. Spiritually, it crushes you. And so what do you become? An object of a situation. And then there is an institution that has been mandated to give you this protection, to make sure that you're safe, to make sure that you can walk home and there is nobody stalking you or there is nobody beating you up. But these crimes are not only happening for along the way. It is also happening at home to people that we love, intimate partners, husband and wives, parents and their children. So it's a crime that is complex. It's not that robbery with violence where you lose your computer and you buy another one, where the door is broken and it's replaced.
Right.
This is happening to an individual.
So currently, if somebody becomes a victim
Yes.
of this violence,
Yes.
they report to a police station.
Yes.
Then what happens when you go to a police station?
Ordinarily, you are supposed to report to a police station. When you go to a police station, we have designed gender desks so that at least there is somebody who is particularly listening to you and also helping you to walk the journey.
Okay.
But even as that officer becomes efficient and effective, the system, she's not the aide with you. From there, she's going to send you to another actor. She'll send you to the person investigating. From there, you will be sent. You will be sent to the hospital, where the forensic evidence, because I've told you that this person becomes a crime scene.
Yep.
So you take the crime scene to hospital again for the evidence to be collected. Unlike in the robbery where crime scene officers will come.
Right.
So you walk with yourself as a crime scene, you go to hospital. And then the process starts from the reporting desk of the hospital, the casualty, to being issued with a card. And you see every stage of the reference and referral pathway. You're telling them what happened.
Telling your own story again
yes,
and again.
you
and
tell
again.
your story again and again and again.
Right.
Once you get the evidence picked from hospital, then you need to go back to police station with the forensic evidence that has been filled in the medical forms back to the police station. And then the case is assigned to another officer now to open the case file. Again, the story goes, let's say you had witnesses, the story continues. And then by the time you're done, then you go to court. Okay, that's the criminal justice system now. Again, you meet the perpetrator. And then there is cross-examination. And then you're subjected. And when you're in court, there is the presence of a magistrate, there is a prosecutor, there is bona fide media, yourself, your witness, and
Court
the
clerk.
perpetrator, the court clerk, and everybody going to have a piece of your story.
Right.
And you know the criminal justice system in Kenya is you must prove beyond reasonable doubt that this happened to you, because all through you are carrying an allegation, while the perpetrator is waiting and seated and enjoying. He is not guilty until
proven
proved guilty. So it is the victim who carries all the burden to prove that this happened to me.
Can I ask a question? Nandu, go ahead.
Go ahead. So is there a general understanding, and maybe even for Bruno to come in, is there a general understanding now across the service that what you're trying to do is help the victim, or what you're trying to do now, even with these Polycare centers, is to allow justice? Because, I mean, you're saying it's a harrowing experience for the victim to be able to have to recount this over and over and over again. We had the police surgeon here last week and talking about, how difficult it is to make sure that, you have to ask this person over 3-4 days, preserve evidence, don't take a shower, don't do what to, so many things that you're asking them to do. Is there a general understanding across the service that what we're trying to do now really is to provide this care. Because I remember years ago, in other work that was being done, the horrible alleged story of a young woman who went into a police station to report a crime and ended up being violated in the police station. I'm sure you know of this story. How can we then be guaranteed that there's an understanding across the service that this care is the subservient idea before the action?
Oh, thank you. For that part, as coming from the statement of the problem, what is the current mechanism, and then now we come to the solution. Why Polycare?
Yeah.
So when you ask along that, I've spoken of a case that is watertight, and we have a perpetrator, and it has gone through the whole criminal justice system. Not even discussing how long it has even taken the minute to get to court. It can take so long, as in if the person had even conceived, by the time judgment and conviction is coming, there is a baby, and you've got an exhibit in court.
Yep.
And then the perpetrator still continues saying, I don't know, I was not involved, it was not me. Then the process of DNA. And then it's harrowing. So what they say, what is the problem? Now we've come back to home. Not now discussing about the journey with the other actors. Coming back home as police officers, what can we make right? What is it that we're not doing right? Then we find, we come back and check what are the checks and balances. And then after doing a SWOT analysis, we found that they have stopped even reporting to the police. They're reporting elsewhere. They're reporting to the media. They're reporting to hospitals. And then you ask, why are you not reporting to the police? They say the police, the way what I went through, the questions I was asked, how I was handled, the Tosembowed go come back, I got scared. Then we said, if police are scaring the victims away, then why not say police care? So we came up with Polycare, and that's what we want to do.
Yeah, maybe just to jump in, to answer your question, I'll say that the operating word here is responsive. Because before then, the way she's articulated it very clearly, we've always investigated cases, to do with sexual and gender-based violence, but in the traditional way of going through the criminal justice system. And we know how this system operates. It's like a conveyor belt. One agency has to do stuff, maybe it'll take time, then you push it to the other agency again, over and over again. And throughout this process, you find that at times it ends up as if the victim is again like the one who's being prosecuted.
Right.
Just going through another ordeal again.
Yeah.
So this time around, through this novel concept, and I call it novel because it's really novel globally. It's not, a concept that you've maybe gone to pick from somewhere and copy-pasted, just for our situation. It was ideated from within, actually by Zipporah and her friends. So what we are saying right now, we are saying that, let's focus on the victims. And most of these people, victims are the vulnerable people. The women, society, the young girls, and the young boys who are the victims. So let's try to be as responsible, not just being responsible and professional, but responsive to their needs. And not just them again, but to their friends, to their family. So that, we can give them a package also in a timely manner. And that's why we are calling it a one-stop center. We bring all the collaborating agencies together under one roof. So that, as we are trying to be responsive and attending to you as police officer, at the same time, we're having a doctor
next
room. And as the doctor is trying maybe to do whatever he's trying to do, in the next room we have a psychologist who's trying to attend. It's just we're trying to attend to this, victim or this survivor at a go in a very responsive manner and responsible.
So is this center then going to be outside the police station, or is it in specific police stations that you want to set them up?
Yeah, what we are doing, because we are still piloting, we are coming up with 2 centers right now, and they are within the police. Although this intervention is not actually a police intervention, we might be trying to drive it, but we want to make it a multi-sectoral intervention of the criminal justice and beyond, where even other partners like you can come in and bring your comparative advantages. So for now, as the model is, right now we're taking the lead, but with so many other partners from across government and non-government actors
Right.
who are coming on board and bringing all the comparative advantages on board.
On board.
Yes.
How many Polycare centers are we looking at around the country?
We are looking at, to start with, if we could have at least a Polycare in every county, because you see the beauty of Polycare, it's not, we're not reinventing the wheel. One of our objectives is to strengthen the already existing mechanisms within the National Police Service and also within the local government. So that court within that county can still take up matters Polycare, even if it is not located within Polycare. But for an ideal model, like my boss has said, that is comprehensive and it has everything, including a magistrate. If we could start, because it's work in progress, it's progressive, we have timelines, maybe by 2030, we need to have reached there. And we can already see the commitment of the head of state saying that by 2026, he would be happy that it matters FGM, matters SGBV and GBV are brought to the ed. And one of the commitments is that he wants to strengthen what others are doing. So what are you doing? What am I doing? So we are all praying the same objective, but from different vantage points. So it's a win-win-win. And that's what we are looking forward for. At the moment, we have a model which we are only showcasing at Old Nairobi area. We took a node structure, and because just like what my boss has said, we have started a police station because we can only start. Charity begins at home. Yeah. We couldn't move to the city center and try tell the mayor or the governor that we want to start here. It's an initiative, it's a work in progress. And the beauty of it, in Nanyuki, they are going to have the very first model, which has started on the ground. Actually, by November, we should be having a small structure handed over to us, and it has fully been supported by British Army Training Unit. We call them BATUK. In collaboration with Reinvent. Reinvent is a program that is working closely with the Office of Inspector General with carrying out reforms within the National Police Service under the lead of their party leader. She's called Jackie Bogo. Yeah. Chief of party, not party leader, but chief of, forgive me, Madam Jackie, if you're hearing me, chief of party. And she's been our sponsor. She has sponsored development of the strategy, the policy, and the standard operating procedures, sir. Yes, sir.
Eric, are you going to a break?
Yeah, you can ask a question, then they'll respond to this after the break.
My question is this. All these things are going to be run at the initial stages, and probably the bigger part, the role that's going to be played by members of the police service. Okay?
Yes.
Police work, as I understand it as a layman, is work that is that constantly puts the members of the service in contact with a traumatic situation. On a daily basis, it's constant. Yes. Now, before we start looking into the public, which is a good thing, I would like to ask, what plans does the Police Service Command have to ensure that the mental health of their officers are adequately taken care of? Because in my mind, if this isn't taken care of, it doesn't matter what wonderful plan we have. If we expect these same people, who in my mind are traumatized on a daily basis, to carry this thing out, we are not going to end up achieving the goals we have set.
For Ndiritu and Commissioner, who's a police spokesperson, Bruno Shioso. We are talking about Polycare, which is a new integrated response to sexual and gender-based violence being rolled out by the Kenya Police Service and brings together other stakeholders in this particular sector. So it's one center to bring together health providers, police, forensic investigators, psychologists, the office of the DPP, representative from a magistrate on call, a medical, legal, gender experts, correctional personnel, all of them under one unit. So that then, if somebody goes to a police station to report an incident of gender or sexual or gender-based violence, then they basically don't have to go left, right, and center. They get all the services at one particular place. A good initiative to be rolled out. As we're going to the break, City asked about the welfare of the police officers themselves. As you're going to a police station and you're finding this police officer, is the police officer adequately prepared to handle your issues? And City, you are talking about this from the point of the stress that a police officer undergoes on a daily basis.
Yes.
24 hours out there on the road. Just take a case of traffic police officer out on the road, rain, shine, dust, it doesn't matter. Accidents on the road, you're the one who's going to have to collect the bodies and take them to mortuary. You're the one who's going to have to record this. Or any other police officer on the beat, whatever they're dealing with. Even those ones at the gender desk, the kind of cases that they have to deal with on a daily basis. This is a child who's been molested. Leave this child. The next person is a human being, an adult who's been molested. Another one is a child. I mean, you're dealing with so many heavy psychological issues on a daily basis. Are they well taken care of, Bruno?
Yeah, thank you, City, for that question. Let me just stress that, right now we're still under what we can call the reform mode at the National Police Service. And welfare is at the center of this. We take the health, and the welfare of our officers very seriously as part of the reforms. And I agree that, most of our officers, by nature of their work, they go through traumatic situations. And this affects the mental health. It's very demanding, very stressful, what they go through. And because of this, the service, through the Inspector General and through the reform initiative, for the first time ever, we've come up with a fully fledged directorate at the National Police Service just to address these issues. So, and when you talk about a directorate, that's really big. It's really big news because, we're not trying to put it under maybe a small section under some other directorate. A standalone directorate with a director, just dealing with the issues of mental health, welfare of officers. And this directorate mostly, is centered around issues of chaplaincy services, counseling, and giving this psychosocial support to officers. We already established or structured at the headquarters, and we're trying to devolve to all the counties because we want to reach the officers wherever they are. But for now, right now, we're already fully operational, at the headquarters in partnership with other partners, hospitals like Kenyatta Hospital, Chiromo. We have the Red Cross, and so many other partners who have come on board supporting us. Officers with grave issues are identified by their commanders, and we pick over from the headquarter level. But now what we have done now, we've tried now to look for more capacities in terms of psychologists, counselors, and we've really employed so many of them right now. Sorry, I didn't come with the statistics. They have been posted to the counties so that they can come up with the structures to replicate the model at the headquarters to deal and attend to our officers. So it's work in progress again. It's part of the reforms. We are trying to scale it down. Maybe going forward, we will want it to go up to the police station level. So it's something we are working on. But again, having said that, maybe just to tell Kenyans that, it's good for you to understand who the police are, what they go through. And of course, they'll make some few mistakes here and there. But then, if you have at hindsight, who they are, what they go through, which even at times maybe will affect their mental health. Because even when I was driving in the morning to work, before just to come to the studio, I had something on radio, one of the radio stations, some statistics about, out of every 4 Kenyans, I think 1 has a mental issue.
Yep. So
that tells you, and these are normal, healthy Kenyans having issues. What about the police officers with what they go through? 24/7, poor working conditions. Not that the government is not doing it. The government is still trying to do so much. But then you can only do so much. But then again, it comes to the nature and the territory of the work itself. So we are just appeal to Kenyans, to have that understanding and maybe that empathy. And maybe when there are some issues, come over, we see how we can address them.
Right.
But not just trying to generalize and maybe bastardizing and saying, oh, this is who they are, what they are. There might be some other factors behind, that are not known to the people. But if they take an interest, they'll get to know. and maybe have some empathy to officers.
I actually don't think the government is doing enough. Not really. I mean, you're government officers, and I don't expect you to agree with me, but I will tell you why. If the police service is as important as we keep being told it is, then why is it that we do not see it being prioritized as such? Why is it that everything that you hear about it has to be a teeth-pulling exercise, and yet the demands on the service, it doesn't lessen, it grows. Every other problem we talk about, you end up by saying the police ought to be brought in, the police have to be brought in. By priority, what do I mean? I'll give you an example of what I mean by priority. Every time our members of parliament meet in committee, they have ensured that every time they have a committee meeting, they are paid allowances. Now that is looking after their interest. And they are paid allowances. And there is no cap as to how many meetings they can have. We discussed not very long ago a situation where the board of Kenya Power, now this is me being facetious, had more meetings than there are actually days in any calendar year. So you ask, so what exactly were you discussing that requires these number of meetings? That is looking after their own interest. Now, if we say the police service is important to us, if we say the health sector is important to us, if we say the education sector is important to us, but we constantly see that the resources that are given to that sector barely scratches the surface, then that what we are being told about the priority is a story. It is not a reality. Because the reality ought to be, it is said, there is evidence of what is actually being said. It is not very difficult to figure out. Now, let me ask the question I want to ask. You have an excellent idea and you have a priority that you have set for yourselves as a service. What will success look like? What will...
In Polycare?
Yes. What will it look like? When it's fully operational and it's working, what should we expect to see?
Okay.
You can take that, Zipporah.
I can take that. What will success look like? The success will be a win-win for the victim. Because the victim will get what we are saying, priceless dignity. Check all the shopping malls. Go to the best shopping malls in the world. There is no price tag. Even economically, those who design price tags, even those who are designing price tag for the fuel we are using, there is no price tag for dignity. Because the Constitution of Kenya is the best constitution with the best offer for a citizen of this republic. It even starts with the prayer, but the power belongs to the people. And these citizens, the people are the citizens. The citizens forms the structures, the social structures. And the social structures starts from the family. And you get your first identity by how your family defines you before you get it from the society. And then before you get it from the institution. So at Polycare, when we put all these people together, then we reduce, I think a person speaks to about 27 persons, repeating the story over and over again. So we are reducing all that to about 4 or 5 at least. And how are we reducing that? Because we're going to have a digitized reception area. Just like you when you go to the bank. Nobody going to know whether you're withdrawing,
Or
whether you're
depositing.
banking, whether you're depositing, or you're going for a loan.
Or just checking a balance?
So we'll have a ticket. Or when you go to Safaricom, nobody knows whether you're going to do Fuliza, or you're replacing your SIM card. So when you come to Polycare Center, we want to reboot into corporate. We want to change the narrative. We want to stop scaring you and caring for you. So the digitized area gives you a ticket, which you will choose and pick yourself, except where there are some legal and literacy that you need. Because again, the ticketing will be done it will be coded by what kind of crime. Is it rape you're reporting? Is it defilement? Is it an abuse to a person who has intellectual developmental disability? And that is our biggest. We want to reach out to those people with intellectual disability. Autistic kids are being abused.
Sure.
There is no good system where they can come to report at the police desk. Police officers have not been trained how to understand that sound the child is giving. We don't have many police officers who can and who have been trained on sign language.
You know, Madam Zipporah, when I listen to you, you clearly have dealt with the issue of sexual and gender-based violence reporting at the police level.
Yes.
You have been in charge of gender desks, and you've seen and collected the information. Now, what you've come up with in terms of Polycare, which is now bringing together all these other agencies, it sounds good, but to me, it sounds like it's a very big project that then makes it even more difficult to actualize. I'll tell you why. The other day when we were having a conversation here with the police sergeant, she was telling us what you're now noticing is that people will go to local chief to report, local police post to report. Now, if we come up with a Polycare, which says this is a one-stop center that has a police desk here, has medical desk there, forensics in the other room, it has psychological support on the other end, and then you have a direct line, the magistrate and the DPP and the justice system. That is one big center. Now, how are you going to be able to bring in the person a child who's been defiled, like what you've explained, a child with developmental challenges who's been defiled and they need to report this, if they have to go all the way to this one big center? Don't you think that's actually breaking down or making it more difficult for someone to access the services?
All right, I'll go back to the proverb of the day. Yes, let's not curse the road, let's walk. So let's not curse Polycare because it has not even started. It's just a plan B. If it doesn't work, many philosophers are coming up, many scholars are coming up, many innovations are coming up. We are now on the road map to reforms. Okay, we've not just changed our uniform. We have changed our attitude. Look at the resources that the government have in place to fight the perpetrator. Look at the prisons. Look at how many vehicles are on the road today. Look at, it's a public holiday. People are at home, are happy. Police officers are on the road. We are here, isn't it? Okay? So what we need to do, can we believe in one little thing instead of just falling in the mud and saying that we can't do, we can't do? Can we strengthen ourselves?
How are you going to make it easier?
How are we going to make it
people
easier?
To access? People who are now finding it very difficult to go to the local police post, report, and then have to go to a health center and go to these other places. How are you going to make it easier with this Polycare?
Well done. Awareness, public awareness. I don't know there is vaccination going on. I know there is COVID, and I don't know where the vaccination is. So can somebody tell me which is the nearest area to my place that I can access that? So it's power, informing our people. Knowledge is power, information is power. And also, how did we get community policing coming up? How did people get to know Huduma Center? How did you even find out about this place? Because you told us about yourselves. And then somebody else said that necessity is the mother of invention. So allow this innovative strategy. Let's try to see how it's going to work. If it's not going to work, let's see how best we can improve the service. And I think that's the mindset that we're having.
And maybe just to chip in, I mean, the way she's rightly said, I mean, we want just to send another message again through the models we're having. First of all, that as a system, criminal justice system, we care. First of all, that's at the baseline level, that we care, and we care for those victims and survivors of this kind of violence. That's a very strong message that you want it to go down there. And then beyond that, through the modules you'll have, we want again to develop some capacity that can bring out some what you can call maybe best practices. Yeah. Then beyond that now, it's true we can't reach everywhere because of resources and other limitations. But then just from those best practices and that strong message in form of like a philosophy, the existing structures criminal justice structures, whatever they are right now, wherever they are, they'll borrow leave. We can still have cases maybe in the villages. They might still go through the normal processes, but with a changed mindset based on the model we have. Because the message is one, that we care and they matter.
Right.
Yeah, the victims matter. So that if they come before the criminal justice system, they should be handled with dignity. The actors should be so responsive to them. And yeah,
So, I mean, for the longest time, the image has been stained. The image of the police service has been stained. So here we are saying something completely different from how it has been, right? Very few times will you find the average Kenyan citizen coming to the police as opposed to running away. Do you think that this is an opportunity, even with Polycare now, and let's just, say it's going to work? Do you see this also as an opportunity to clean, sanitize the image of the service in other aspects where things have normally gone wrong?
Oh, sure. Yeah, these are very perfect. And that's why I'm a keen supporter of Polycare. Amongst other interventions, there are so many happening. Great work, that maybe are not known, and maybe one more forum so that we can maybe try to bring them before Kenyans. Polycare is one of such interventions that we are so proud of. It's an opportunity for us to showcase to Kenyans that we as police, we are really responsible, first of all, and we're responsive to their needs. Not just, only the victims of sexual and gender-based violence, but just Kenyans in totality as per our mission and our vision and our mission. So much work is going on out there. Officers are coming up with initiative. The way I mentioned initially, this initiative of Polycare just came from within. Zipporah and her friends just sitting down together and trying to brainstorm and seeing how can we attend to this kind of a problem. And then here we are. And within a minute like this, all the stakeholders are on board already supporting it.
Yep.
We have, let me set an example. If you go to our NPS, timeline, you'll see there's so much work coming from Kisii. We have a police commander there, out of his own initiative, through the framework of community policing. Every time he's reaching out to the community. Like now, we have a crackdown on illicit brews and this kind of, contraband brews, where there are going on in the country. He does the same, because that's his duty. But with a different, with some kind of innovation. He'll go arrest those, mostly they're women, maybe will brew those because of other reasons, factors. But he goes beyond that. He'll arrest them. Then after that, he goes to visit them again and ask them, what's your problem? He gets to learn why they are doing it.
Yep.
Like, a good example, the other day, he went talking to those old women, mobilized some funds for them, and gave them an alternative way of, economic alternative. It's well documented, plus so many other interventions. So these are things, we want, and they're really happening there. Things like being involved in sports in Nakuru. The Beatrice, the county commander in Nakuru. Every weekend, most of them, at least once or twice in a month, bring the communities, border people or other, normal people from the communities, forming football teams and the police, bring them together, and then just trying to warm up the relationship. So that's our focus now, trying to do what we can. Of course, there'll be those challenges, there'll be some issues of malpractice. Wherever they happen, we shall address them again promptly. By that I mean that, police as a system is dead, is rotten. So much is going on from headquarters, from the Inspector General of Police. You won't believe it. Anything small that happens really puts us down. Even the junior officers, we communicate. It's not just only the Kenyans. When one of us goes astray, we feel it, and we feel for the Kenyans. So
police officers are basically our brothers and sisters,
Yes.
are our parents. They're part of us. And so we know definitely there are very, very many good police officers. There are many good police officers who sit and they're wondering, how best can I get the job done? Maybe there's systemic challenge in terms of just getting things moving. For example, maybe Zipporah, by the time you and your colleagues were sitting and thinking and asking yourselves, what can we do? How can we make this better? It's because you are seeing this is just not working. Somebody has come to me. They have explained, and then I have to send them to somebody else to start the whole story again. And you're not going to walk into the doctors with them. You have to send them to the doctor so that they can go and repeat that story. You know how traumatizing it was for them to tell you the story in the first place. If they have to tell them to 27 different people, surely you're sitting back there and thinking, I want to see a change. And coming up with Polycare is one way of you addressing and seeing how can we make it better. And yes, kudos to the police service for listening, for embracing, for saying, yes, let's move it along. Now, my question is, have all these other people come on board? Like, have the healthcare, the medical professionals come on board? Do we have psychologists who've come on board and said, you know what, at any one given time, the system may not yet be working, but call me up and I'm available to come and offer the psychosocial support? Do we have such?
Yes, happy to report that we have received overwhelming support in forms of partnership and collaboration. And the development of these 3 documents has not been easy. And it is other actors, state and non-state, and whole of government coming up together. They embraced the initiative. We got the blessings from the Office of Inspector General, and the Deputy Inspector General personally has committed to this. So we have on board all these other sectors and we've put them on our technical working group. Currently, because it's an initiative and we've not started our operations, so we've started with quick wins. So we have internal committee and we have external committee. Now we have an integrated multidisciplinary committee that is sitting to see to the forthcoming round, which is coming on 13th of actually the day after tomorrow. And we are happy to report from his office through State House communication that the guest of honor to grace this occasion, Afandi atakuwa nani?
Her Excellency, the First Lady.
Right.
Yes.
The First Lady is the one who's coming to launch it.
Yes. So once it's launched, and then we can now work together, the whole of government, then we see how best can we start the operationalization of Polycare. We even have great friends. We have like Lottery Club of Nairobi Parklands has picked up the model in Nairobi area. It has been a model for a long time. They said, we don't want to hear that word model. We want to take it up. And I think in 2 weeks' time, they will start construction. They've granted about 8 million to make Nairobi model a real ideal model. Nanyuki is coming up. Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. is working very hard to see that Makueni gets the next model. There is already a small structure coming up. So many, we were in Saburu where the president did the Kisima Declaration, and he wants to finish the issue of retrogressive cultural practices where girls are getting married at a very small age. There is also the culture of beading. And by 2022, the Kisima Declaration says that they are going to do away with FGM and early child marriages. And with that, the county of Saburu cannot wait to have their next Polycare. Kilifi is calling, Kisumu is calling. We are only short of resources, but because it's now going to be a legal document, calls for it to be structured somewhere within the government, to have its own treasury budgetary allocation, and it's a long process. The documents right now are in the office of, they're heading to the office of the Attorney General. Then there will be the depository of the documents into Parliament, and we're hoping that as it takes the journey, you and me this thing belongs back to the community.